I've never had an issue. Never had an issue with vacation before. That's weird.
Hello, Meg.
How's it going, everyone?
Good, good.
Edie, if you're listening, can you make me the co-host, please? Thank you.
Hi, all. I'm back.
There you go. All right, let's see here.
Meg, if you can hear me, I'm showing Dave, Nat, Fritz, Catherine, Stephen, Cam, and yourself. I'm sure, do you have another bunch that are logged in?
I have the whole attendee list, but I think we're all present that are panelists for the moment.
Okay. Well, it's 4:02. Unless you see a reason to hold up, I'll start the meeting. Dave.
Yeah, you might want to I just went over and looked at the attendees. You might want to let people know about the change in the agenda so they don't hang out for too long.
No, that's the first thing I'm going to do before, we're going to call to order the meeting. And then before the agenda, I'm going to make a statement that both the Brotherhood and the Fair Street has been continued to December. Okay, Meg, are you ready?
I'm ready when you are.
Sure, let's log in. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Planning Board meeting November 15th, 2021. It looks like we have everyone present. I will first like to start off by saying pursuant to, we are conducting this meeting via Zoom webinar and remote participation pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order regarding open meeting law. With that, I'd like to call to order the meeting, and with the roll call, we'll see who's present. Dave Iverson.
Aye.
Here.
Nat Lowell.
Aye. Here.
Fritz McClure.
Here.
And myself, I'm the vice chair. I will be acting as chairperson with the absence of Judith Wegman, who is our chair. So also with other alternative board members present, just so we can identify who's here. David Callahan.
Here.
Stephen Welch.
Here.
Cam Sutton.
Here.
And we have staff that are attending. If you're here, please give a roll call. Catherine and Sarah
Here.
and Meg Trudell.
Here.
Meg? Great. Okay, with that, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Nat Lowell.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, did we just do this? Okay, approval
How
of
are
the
you,
agenda.
Josh?
Before we approve the agenda, I have just like to make a public comment that we had two continuances into the December 13th, 2021 meeting. And this is just to let everyone know that is here for the Brotherhood, which is 23 Broad Street owner LLC, Brotherhood of Thieves, 23 Broad Street. That is going to be continued until the December 13th. And also the 27 Fair Street LLC, 27 and 29 Fair Street. That is also continued until the December 13th, 2021 meeting. With that, I'd like to get an approval of the agenda. Is
So
there a
moved.
motion?
With those
Nat?
changes.
With those changes, Nat made the motion, Fritz seconded. So Nat,
Aye.
Fritz,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. All right, on to minutes. We did have a continuance of the listed minutes for October 25th, 2021, and they will be continued to the December 13th meeting as well. Now, do we need to make an official roll call for that, to continuance?
No, not for the minutes. But may I just make a point, Mr. Chair, about
Sure.
the continuance of those public hearings, just in case it's not clear for anyone listening in the public, that when we continue a public hearing, that means that it will not be discussed this evening by board members, the applicant, or members of the public.
Great, thank you. And that's good to note. So if you are waiting here to make a public comment, we're not even going to be bringing it up at this meeting. So please reserve that for your December, for our December meeting. Thank you, Meg. All right, on to next up is secondary dwellings. I believe we have one that we have to remove for public hearing, and that is 19 Bartlett Road. So with that, I believe we have one, and that is Matthew and Kate Harrington, 50 Hummock Pond Road. Is there a motion for approval?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Fritz made the motion, Nat
I'll
seconded.
second. I'll second.
Okay, roll call, Fritz,
Aye.
Nat,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. Next, we have garage apartments, and we
Okay.
have,
Mr. Chair, did we
Yes.
skip 38 or did we do both? Couldn't really tell on that. Sorry.
I'm sorry, for 38,
Through you, Mr. Chair, if I may, 38 Hummock Pond Road, I updated it on the agenda. I just forgot to reciprocate that on the staff report during my review. It's actually, I found it's a garage apartment and not a second dwelling, and I
Yes.
made the change on the posting, but forgot to make
Oh,
that change on the
okay,
staff
so
report.
Nat, you're seeing that under second dwellings, it is actually under garage apartments.
I'm
So we
sorry.
didn't vote on-
Well,
No,
that's-
you're good to bring it
Yep.
up.
Got it.
So that's what we're going to be looking at right now. So we have 4 garage apartments, we have 4, and it looks like there's nothing that needs to be removed unless there's discussion from the board. We have Arlene Hogan, 76 Pleasant Street, John D. and Amanda McGovern, 26 Lincoln Street, Sconset, and Richard and Laura Belair, 2 Rudder Lane, Allison Groenstein, 38 Hummock Pond Road. Is there any discussion or a motion from the board?
I'll make a motion to approve All of the garage apartments.
Is there a second?
A second.
All right, I have Nat with the motion and Dave with the second. Roll call, Nat, Dave,
Aye.
Fritz,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Tertiary dwellings, we have, I believe it's just one, Essex 36 AC LLC, 36 Essex Road. Is there any discussion or motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a
Second.
Second.
I have Dave with the motion and Fritz with the second. Roll call, Dave,
Aye.
Fritz,
Aye.
Nat,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. All right, moving on, we have A&Rs. I see that the one will be not voted on until we get to public hearing, and that is 53 South Shore Road, Charles and Maria Davis. So if I'm correct, we're looking at Vegte Nominee Trust 26 Main Street, Sconset. Sandra Luden, trustee, Luden Family Nominee Realty Trust, 6 Forest Ave. Town of Nantucket, portion of Cherry Street. Purple Wampum LLC, 41 Jefferson Ave. And Patrick Tafe and Carol Muling, 17 Orcoa Ave. Is there any discussion or any issues that someone have to be removed? With that, is there a motion?
I will move that we endorse all of the A&Rs. Is that the right word? Yeah.
With the exception of the 53 until we hear
Yeah.
about that with public hearing. Okay,
Yep.
is there a second?
Second.
Didn't know who hit that button first. I'm going to give
I
it
think it
to,
was me,
Dave?
John, I think.
oh, it was Nat, okay. So Fritz made the motion, Nat seconded. Roll call, please. Fritz,
Aye.
Nat,
Aye.
Dave Ivers,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Okay, on to previous plans. Okay, we're looking at PLSUB 2021-08-00195 Maple Lane subdivision. And this is for the endorsement plans. Representation Dan Malloy, if he's present. Meg, do you have anything to add?
No, I think it's just ready for the board to vote endorsement. I did speak with Dan about my recommendation of noting that pedestrian pathway being constructed in addition to just the easement languages. That was something we talked a lot about at the meeting. It's a condition in the decision. So I thought it was important to include that in the plan, and Dan agreed to make the necessary updates to the plan prior to the board being endorsing them. So with that change, I would recommend approval.
And that's specific to pedestrian path to catch lot lane? Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the board, is there a motion?
Yeah, what was the other, Megan, what was the other stuff about that? There was something else.
easement, I
Sewer
think,
line or something. Can't remember what it was. Water, sewer.
Yeah.
Oh, no, there was a utility space as part of that, right?
As
That's
part
what
of
I
the
remember.
easement. Yep.
Yep. Okay, cool.
Any further discussion? Is there a motion?
I would move endorsement.
Fritz made the
Second.
motion, Nat seconded. Roll call, Fritz,
Aye.
Nat,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Next one, Richmond Great Point Development, Sandpiper Place 2. Representation Dave Arminetti. Meg, want to add anything to that?
Yep, so this one is actually Sandpiper Place 2 and Meadows 2. Form J endorsement. Ed Pesci, our consulting engineer, has been away on vacation, so I haven't been able to touch base with him to see if there's any outstanding items that he's identified that should be addressed prior to releasing this Form J. That said, there aren't any large issues or concerns from a staff level. So my recommendation would be for the board to go ahead and endorse the Form J for staff to hold in the office until I have a chance to touch base with Mr. Pesci.
Okay, discussion by the board.
Agreed.
With none, is there a motion?
I'll make a
Make a
motion.
motion to, go ahead, Dave.
Make a motion to
Good.
endorse with the planning staff recommendation.
Second.
Second.
Second. Nat
Second.
second. Dave made the motion, Nat seconded. Roll call. Dave,
Aye.
Nat,
Aye.
Fritz,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Okay, moving on. We hit the heart of the meeting, public hearings. Besides the two that I had mentioned earlier, looks like 10 Cliff Road LLC, 10A, 10B Cliff Road will be continued into the December 13th meeting. And as stated earlier in the meeting, the 23 Broad Street owner LLC, Brotherhood of Thieves, 23 Broad Street is continued also into the December 13th, 21 meeting, as well as 27 Fair Street LLC, 27 and 29 Fair Street, continued to the December 13th, 21 meeting. I do not see any issue with action deadline. So do we need a motion to continue those? Meg?
Make that motion.
Thanks.
Second.
Okay, the motion has been made by Nat and seconded by Dave. Roll call, Nat,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Fritz,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. All right, on to the next. We have Dave Lindbergh, 33 South Shore Road. Art Gasparo is the representing, and I believe this is for year-round covenant creation of a covenant lot. Meg, would you like to start or add anything and see if there's anybody representing?
I brought over David Lindbergh. I don't see Art on the meeting here. There's nothing really for me to add beyond what I've written in the staff report, so I'm not sure if you wanted to speak with David.
Okay, board members, there are some findings that you'll see in your to approve, and also the staff recommendations. This is a covenant lot, and the applicant is requesting a waiver of the shared driveway access. And it was just noted that the second driveway access was already approved through our approval of the second dwelling on April of 2021. With that, any discussion of the board, comments? Oh, I see Cam Sutton. Cam?
Hi, thank you so much for taking my comment. So are you saying that the second dwelling was on lot 2, so that the driveway that is proposed on lot 2, which is not the pre-existing driveway that Danny had off Old South or South Shore Road, was that already approved then, or is that still up for discussion?
No, I believe Meg is signaling the affirmative. Yes, it has already been approved. Meg, would you like to comment?
Yeah, so it's already been approved, but technically needs to be requested again as a part of this special permit process because it's a waiver request. The way the zoning bylaw is worded, it's required to be granted again as a waiver, but it's a driveway access that this board has already approved.
Right, but I'm just wondering, I was out there today, and I guess I had thought originally that they were just talking about the shell drive that Danny had there, which is to the left of where the dwelling sits now. And I'm just wondering if that driveway entrance can be moved further to the left so that it does not directly affect the driveway across the road there. Do you see what I mean?
I see what you're saying, but it's already been approved.
Right, I'm just saying, instead of coming in and turning to park to the left, if you could come in and park to the right, you could have the same situation, just moved 20 feet or 30 feet down the road. That's all I was saying. Like I said, I didn't understand at the first meeting that they weren't going to be using the existing drive. So,
Thank you, Cam. Dave, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just, and I guess David could probably straighten us out here, but I think that driveway you're referring to is going away. I think that had a truck parked in it, but as soon as this is finished, that driveway is part of the old piece of property. I drive by it every day. I'm pretty sure it's going to be gone, and it's just going to be the new driveway as pictured on the plan. Correct, David?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, Cam, does that answer your concerns?
yes, I mean, it doesn't answer the concern of the individual who wrote in, but I can see where it has been previously approved, though if it's up for a review, I'm not sure why it can't be reviewed. But anyway, I've brought up my point and I'll move on. So thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I'm Meg.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to remind you, I'm not sure if you want to do this before you open the public hearing or after, but we need to activate one of our alternates.
Okay, so there's a special,
All the second lots.
okay.
That's it.
Well, Cam, since you made a comment, I'll activate you.
Okay.
And with that, I don't see any other hands raised, so I'm going to open it up to the public. Meg, let me know.
One member, Ian McNeese, that is raising his hand from the public. I'll bring him over to speak.
Great, thank you. Ian, welcome. If you can hear me, you have the floor.
Can you hear me?
Yes, welcome.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. I'm very much against the planned driveway cut as drawn. It comes out it's going to be completely opposite my driveway. I mean, did you people read my letter that I wrote to you?
Yep.
Who's that?
Yeah, this is the chair.
Yeah.
Ian, yes, and this, again, I think Meg made the comment, this had been previously approved at our April meeting.
Well,
So
how
it is, no,
I
excuse
didn't
me.
mean to interrupt, but
I'll
how
let you
was it-
speak. I'm just talking right now. I'm sorry. And it is open for discussion because there is a waiver requested. So happy to hear your concerns. If you have anything specific, you made that point that is across the street from you. And if there's any other public comment, I'd like to hear from that as well before we bring it back to the board for discussion.
Well, this approval on April the 21st or whatever, I never ever got a notice from the planning board as to that meeting. And you can go back in your records to see if I did, but I never received a registered letter.
Meg, do you have any comment? Do we have any proof of letters being sent out? Or
No,
butters?
no, Mr. Chair. The approval that was received back in April was for a second dwelling. There's a provision in the bylaw that allows for a second driveway access as a part of that approval. That's not a public hearing item. Abutters are not noticed for non-public hearing items.
Okay, well, Meg, do you have a way to pull that plan up there so that we can show any kind of listeners what Ian is referring to, Cam is referring to, and also what the applicant has proposed? Okay, see the proposal, and I believe right across the street, if we're looking at Korea Lane, where it's drawn, that's the driveway that Ian is
No.
referring to?
No,
Oh,
He's talking about South Shore, John,
oh, okay,
across from David's new
great. Oh, with the covenant.
curb cut.
Correct.
Technically, Yeah,
All right, and I see the little triangle. I'm guessing that's the corner of the driveway. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Board, is there any discussion
mean-
about this? Dave, I've seen your hands up.
I just, and I appreciate Ian being concerned, but if you look at South Shore, there's plenty of driveways and roads that are adjacent that are right across the street from each other. He has a turnaround spot, so it's not like he's going to be backing out on the street. So I just, I guess I'm just not clear on what your concern is, Ian.
Well, can I speak?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes, you
well-
can.
Well, if you'd read my letter to the board, you would have seen my concerns. Number one, South Shore Road's a very busy road. It's posted no parking either side. We all have problems with that up and down the road. This is just another way of adding to more cars that are going to be parked all along the side on my side of the road. Even though it's posted no parking, this space looks like it could barely fit 3 cars, maybe 2. It's right in front of their house and right in front of my driveway. I think it should be moved to the south on that property line. That part of the, in other words, down South Shore Road further to that property line of that lot. It's not going to be very attractive looking at another house with a pile of cars parked in front of it. And they're going to be spilling all over onto my side of the road. I know that's what's going to happen.
So Meg, if I can ask a procedural question, if we were to propose a driveway, even a potential mirrored flip, so that the actual driveway moved to the south as suggested by the abutter or across the street, is that something that we would need the plan, or could we note that change? And this is purely just for discussion and obviously going back to the board for a vote. But if we just wanted to flip that driveway, and also I'd like to hear from Dave Lindbergh if he has an issue with that.
I don't see a problem if you just move the entrance to the left side of the lot. Is that what you're saying? So
Correct. South, correct.
That'd be okay.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the way I see it, we have a willing owner, and we have a neighbor that would be happy with that. Meg, do you see any procedural issue to do that?
No, I think you can condition it and then, making the finding that it's not contrary to the sound, traffic, or safety considerations, so long as it's shifted to the south.
Okay.
yeah.
Anybody else from the public that would like to speak? With that, is there a motion?
Motion to close.
All right, Nat made the motion to close. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion's been made by Nat and seconded by Fritz. Let's roll call. Nat,
Aye.
Fritz,
Aye.
and Dave.
Aye.
Chair votes. Oh, I'm sorry, I activated Cam on this. Cam,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Okay, is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve with the change in the location of the driveway, shift in the parking towards the south, driveway to the south.
And I believe you have the findings in the staff
And
recommendation.
and with the findings that the proposal advances the intent of the zoning bylaw by creating housing for year-round residents, that the second driveway access is not contrary to sound traffic safety considerations, that the second driveway access does not negatively impact the scenic integrity of the neighborhood, and the 5 staff conditions along with the change. Megan, I don't know if that needs to be number 6 or something like that. Has to be in the decision.
If that's
Thank
okay,
you.
Meg, is there a second?
Second.
Dave seconded. Nat made the motion with the changes. Dave seconded. Roll call. Nat,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
and Fritz.
Aye.
And Cam.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Thank you very much, Ian. Thank you very much for signing on and commenting. I hope that meets with your satisfaction. Next on the agenda is the Charles and Marie Davis, 53 South Shore Road. This is also a covenant lot. Representation Jeff Blackwell. Meg, take it away. Is there anyone here representing?
I'm just moving Jeff over to the panelist list, so he should be with us.
Jeff, when you're ready, feel free to make a presentation.
Well, this is a straightforward 139.8C residential year-round resident housing, which will be under the Nantucket Housing Needs Covenant. The Davises want to create a lot to cut off the cottage where their son is living and convey the property to their son, who is a year-round resident. So that's kind of the long and the short of it. The property will continue to be, both properties will be continued to be served by a single driveway access, and the appropriate cross easements will be created to continue that relationship. I'll answer any questions the board may have.
Okay. Before we do, I think this is a special permit. I'd like to activate David Callahan. David?
You got it.
All right, great. So board, and also I believe, Meg, this is going to be referred back if it is approved for the A&R.
Yes.
Yes.
This will go
Okay.
to A&R to implement the special permit.
Great. I'll open it up to the board for discussion. Don't see any hands raised from the board, so I'll open that up to the public for comment. And Meg, let me know if anybody logs on.
Perfect setup.
Not seeing anyone. I did want to mention this as a, if I may, Mr. Chair, this
Sure.
is somewhat of an interesting thing too, to create a covenant lot, leaving a market rate lot larger, where there is availability to do 2 market rate lots on this property through A&R.
Thank you. Board, is there a motion to close the public hearing? If there are no hands raised.
Make a motion to close. Oh, Fritz, sorry about that.
Fritz made the motion. Is there a
Yeah,
second?
I'll second.
Nat, a second. Okay. Roll call to close. Fritz,
Aye.
Nat,
Aye.
Dave Iverson,
Aye.
and David Callahan.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. All right. Is there a motion on the hearing?
I'll make a motion to approve the second, the secondary lot, and the findings that the proposal advances the intent of the zoning bylaw by creating housing for year-round residents with the following conditions, 1 through 4 of staff. And that's it.
Okay.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Nat made the motion and Dave Iverson second.
That's
Roll
it.
call.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that.
Okay.
Aye, sorry,
All
John.
right, Nat, aye.
It was
Okay.
kind of half broken up.
Motion's been made by Nat, seconded by Dave Iverson. Nat, roll call said aye. Dave Iverson,
Aye.
Fritz McClure,
Aye.
Dave Callahan,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. Okay, with that, we have to go to back to the A&R for
Yeah,
53 South Shore. Is there a motion?
Make that motion to endorse the NR.
Okay, motion's been made by Nat. Is there a second?
Second.
Dave Iverson, second. Roll call. Nat,
Aye.
Dave Iverson,
Aye.
Fritz McClure,
Aye.
Dave Callahan.
Oh,
I don't think I vote.
Just the four on this
Oh,
one.
just a four for that A&R, sorry.
Yeah.
And the chair votes
Yeah.
aye. Great. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good evening. And next on the agenda, 16 Friendship Lane LLC, 16 Friendship Lane, Brian Swain representing. Is Brian here?
He is. I'm just bringing him over as a panelist.
Welcome, Brian. How's that baby?
He's good. He's active, 7-month-old, crawling, and
Yeah.
he's a night owl. So, but there's nothing better than that.
All right. Anything to enlighten us with on this?
Standard 139A covenant. It's a corner lot on the corner of Friendship and Equator. The lots are going to stay primarily the same. The additional ground cover will be reserved to the front lot. There's 2 existing driveways that are associated with the waivers that we're requesting. And then we're seeking a waiver of the interior lot line as it relates to the separation between the covenant lot and the market rate lot. And a waiver of the ground cover so long as the aggregate total ground cover wouldn't exceed what was otherwise allowed in the underlying zoning district.
Okay, and with that, would there be any kind of proportional difference from the 80 to 20, or the 80%?
There's only approximately 48 square feet of ground cover left, so it could be used as a tiny addition to the front lot, but nothing substantial.
Okay. The board, any discussion? Meg, yes.
Mr. Chair, if you want to activate another board member, because this is a special permit.
Great, sorry about that. So we had, who do we have?
I think it's Stephen's turn.
Stephen, I don't see you, Stephen. That's why I'm looking. There you are. Oh, great. Stephen, if you're available, activation for this.
Okay.
Okay. Again, sorry about that. Any discussion from the board? Don't see any hands, so I'll open this up to the public. Meg, let us know if any hands get raised.
Not seeing any.
Okay, with that, is there a motion from the board to close?
Motion to close.
Nat
Second.
made the motion and Fritz seconded. Roll call. Nat,
Aye.
Fritz,
Aye.
Dave Iverson,
Aye.
Stephen,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. What's the pleasure of the board?
I'd make a motion to approve the special permit for secondary residential lot with the findings that the proposal advances the intent of the zoning bylaw by creating housing for year-round residents, that the second driveway access is not contrary to sound, traffic, or safety considerations, and that the second driveway access does not negatively impact the scenic or historic integrity of the neighborhood, and that approval would be subject to the 6 conditions set forth in the staff memo.
Okay, Fritz made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Nat seconded. Roll call. Fritz,
Aye.
Nat,
Aye.
Dave Iverson,
Aye.
Stephen Welch,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. It's approved unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Brian. Get some sleep. Next one, we're looking at, I think that's Sean Koloff, 19 Bartlett Road, Tori Ewing, representation. Is anyone here, May, to represent?
Yes, Tori is here as well as Uri. I'm bringing them both over as a panelist.
Great. When you're ready, you can.
Hi, guys.
Hello, how are you, Tori?
Hello.
Any discussion? Any comments, Tori?
Yeah, presentation. Sure. Let me just
Sure.
explain. So this originally property had a second dwelling approval. And the second dwelling that was formerly there had a difference in square footage to the, whether you refer to it as the primary or secondary, as only 5 square feet. So it was already a non-conforming as far as the 20% difference. We have demoed that existing cottage in the front of the lot. And so now we would like to move the home located at 3 Raceway Drive to this lot as a new secondary dwelling approval. And there's still a little bit less than 20% difference in ground coverage between the two, but it's much larger of a difference than the prior approval that was in place. Not that one dictates the other, because as I understand it, they're 2 completely different approvals.
Okay, before we open up the board, I'd like to activate Cam. I think we're in that rotation. So Cam, are
Okay.
you there? Great. Okay.
Yeah.
Board, any
Yeah.
discussion?
Yeah, just real quick, I just wanted to say, this is, you gotta look at this as that they're killing themselves to recycle a house. You gotta, they're improving the differential, but it's not like they're building a new house and asking for a waiver. They're moving a house that's not too far away. This is a lot of work to do this. And this is a great thing. So you have to look at it with a different lens than you would if it was something different than that. So I think it's a great improvement and use of another house that's not too far away. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Nat. Any other board member hands? No, with that, I'll open it up to the public. Meg, anybody commenting or putting their hand up? No? Okay, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So
Take that
moved.
motion.
All right, Cam made the motion.
I'll second.
Nat will
I'll
second. Okay, roll call. Cam,
Aye.
Nat,
Aye.
Dave Iverson,
Aye.
Fritz,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. On the merits, is there a motion or discussion?
Make a motion to approve the waiver and the it's consistent with the general purpose and intent of the bylaw.
Second.
Motion's been made by Nat, seconded by Dave. Roll call. Nat,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Fritz,
Aye.
Cam.
Aye, and I would just like to thank them so much for reusing a house. So in
Noted. Thank
in
you.
what it said.
And they're not adding any more cars. They're already there.
And the chair votes aye. All right, I believe there's a second dwelling with the approval of this. We have to vote on that.
I'll make a motion to approve the second dwelling application.
All right, motion's been made to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Dave seconded, so roll call. Nat,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Fritz,
Aye.
Cam,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Thank you.
Great,
Thank you,
thank you.
Tori.
Thank you, Tori.
Thank you.
All right, moving on, Candlewick Corner, there's a modification for 120, 122, 124 Old South Road. I a host of people for representation. I'm not sure who's here, Leo Azadorian, John Brescher, Chip Webster, or Vios Theodorek, or help me with that.
Theodorakis.
Okay, thank you, John. All right, John, anybody for a presentation? Would you like to speak on the application?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I'll start. First things first, I just want to make sure everybody's, Megan, that we have enough people for this, because I know Judith, this was previously opened and Judith was sitting on it. So I wasn't sure if anybody had to Mullins in.
So I confirmed with Andrew, since all three of the alternates were present at the last meeting, for this application, that any one of the three of them may be activated to vote this evening.
Perfect. That's
Great.
fantastic. Thank you.
And with that, John, if I may interrupt, because of that, I'd like to activate Dave if he's available. David Callahan.
I got you.
Great. All right. Thank you, John. Sorry for the interruption.
No, terrific. Thank you. So this is our second hearing in front of the board for this particular matter. Just as a quick recap, my client owns the lots that we are, let's see if I have them. I believe it's 120, 122, 124, and 126 Old South Road. The last three vacant lots that are on, 120, 122, and 124 Old South Road. The last three vacant lots on, basically on that old Candlewick corner, Hannibia Lane, Wampanoag subdivision, and is intending to construct apartment buildings. And so the question came up with the staff last time about parking calculations, and piggybacking off the hard work that the staff has done over the years, we were able to compile a spreadsheet showing that with all the proposed uses and existing uses, the total parking required is 87 spaces. And I believe the original approval was for 85, but I think it was then reduced to 84 due to the construction of the driveways. So at the end, basically what we have before you is the use of the three lots to construct the apartment buildings. Leo Azadorian was kind enough to provide a parking plan showing where the 84 spaces are and how those were calculated. We did undertake the exercise, or at least Leo did, of looking to see if we could somehow create parking within those lots, and it just wasn't going to work between the size of the structures, the setbacks, the dimensions. It just wasn't going to happen. So the request before you, I believe, is for the use of the apartment buildings within the MCD, as well as the parking waiver to the extent necessary. I'll further this by saying I know there is discussion about the bike path connection over effectively Macy's to Wampanoag, and my client is committed to doing that. We understand that has always been. I'm not entirely sure how that did not happen throughout all the course of the project, but he is committed to installing the bike path per Ed Pesci's specs and designs. I also understand that there may be a discussion relative to funding the homeowners association or continuing to fund it, and that is fine. And certainly about the monitoring and management of the trailer and unregistered vehicle parking. The benefit to my client owning basically all the properties in here is that he has the ability to enforce this and say, you can't leave cars, basically the people who are living there, you're the only ones who can park there. You can't have unregistered vehicles. You can't have sort of long-term parking for people using the airport or anything. It has to be only the occupants of those apartments can have cars there.
Great. Thank you, John. Meg, do you want to add anything to that? I think John addressed those three concerns that the staff had. This is a special permit, so I think we can also view this after a year to make sure that the conditions that we're proposing are met and review and see if it's I guess, being followed. So with that, I'll open it up to any discussion or comments by the board.
John, through you.
Yes, Dave.
If I could ask John Brescher or anyone actually, really, is an HOA the appropriate document for this? Is there a more appropriate way to I mean, he owns the whole thing. Is he going to condo it, or I mean, is that the best document to enforce or to try to do what we want it to do? I guess is my question.
I'm happy to weigh in if I may, Mr. Chair.
Sure, absolutely.
It's a great point, Dave. You're right. There are no intentions of selling. He has absolutely. I mean, these are designed to be sort of rental properties, and so without sort of obligating him to things that may or may not want. The fact that this is a special permit and can be reviewed by the planning board, perhaps that's the way to ensure that this is the mechanism, short of. I mean, you're right. It would be entirely self-serving HOA.
He must be funding, right?
Yeah, I've got this. I'm judge, jury, executioner of the HOA. Yeah.
So John, can I ask a question? So being that he is a complete owner right now of all the properties, if he were able to and does condo them off individual buildings, shouldn't there be some kind of terminology put into place in the decision so that if there is an individual owner, they're protected in the homeowner association, fees and et cetera would transfer to the new owner? So
something, and apologies for interrupting. So something to the effect of, like a condition in the decision that upon a conveyance of any of these properties, that an HOA be funded and reviewed by the planning board? Something like, that?
I was looking at something in a general sense where he could condo off and sell individual buildings one by one by one. So something in place where, just because he owns it as a whole right now, then there would guarantee a separation for each building that it would be an individual homeowner association fee that they would be required to pay.
And that's a good point too. I mean, if he did it sort of with each one being a condo, yes, or if he just sold one building, I think he'd need to trigger sort of the generation of the HOA, because all of a sudden you have an unrelated third party as an owner within the subdivision. So I think we're getting at the same idea of them needing some sort of security in the event he ever does sell.
Great. All right. Cam, I see your hand raised. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I forgot to lower it.
Oh,
my apologies.
Okay. But you're being very patient. Is there any other, before we open it up to the public, any other board member that would like to comment or speak?
Just real quick. I appreciate all the work that's been gone into this, because there was a few, as John said, we need to recap the last meeting. That was a good word for this, because I know that we had some confusion about how to calculate the spaces. And again, speaking from me being around a while with this parking calculation stuff, is old, sort of weird methodology that doesn't really make a lot of sense sometimes. And the bigger the lot, the more turnover, the more unpredictable uses that there'll be. Like this place has changed a lot, and since the last 10 years, and there's different uses that were not there before that might use more cars, and some might use less cars. You know what I mean? So I think these things have to flush themselves out a little bit. It's not like it's that far off. And also, theoretically, like Dave was bringing up about the homeowners, look at this as a different type of permit. We'd be asking for the neighbors to have the guy's phone number. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying, John? So I think it's sort of in the same ballpark as a business. This just happens to have a whole bunch of different, uses. So I don't have an issue with it. And I think that the special permit allows us to revisit it. So I'm good with it, what's been done.
Okay, yeah, with that, I think you make good points, and the continued funding of the HOA is one thing, but the ongoing monitoring and management of the trailers and unregistered vehicles, I think, is going to be a really important thing.
Yeah.
With the
Somebody's
waiver of the
gotta
3
be like
spaces, with the waiver of the 3 spaces, you would expect that the monitoring and assurances that there's not going to be unregistered vehicles and abandoned trailers there that are going to utilize extra spaces. I think that's a good.
Somebody's gotta own people's behavioral issues, taking up more space, and that's how what I think Dave was alluding to, and I think that's something that we can use for the future with other projects like this that change over time. It starts out as businesses, then it switches to more housing. I mean, it's that's what's going to happen. So that's good.
All right, Dave Iverson, I see your hand raised.
Oh yeah, I don't want to keep beating this, but I think that for your client, John, the most important thing is that someone polices this parking situation, and that I mean, the trailers, the unregistered cars are one thing, and I appreciate you cleaning them up. But when we start having cars parked along the road, when it just starts to really be a mess, then you're going to end up in front of us again, because it's one parking per bedroom is, I just think, is an unrealistic expectation on this island currently. And so I think you guys are trying to, you're going to be in a position where you got to pack a lot of cars into this parking lot. And so I think that someone's going to have to really monitor it for it to work.
I see David Callahan hand. Please, David.
Yeah, I think we really kind of need a management plan outside of the homeowners association. Who is responsible? Not only for cars, but maybe, unruly behavior in the apartments, et cetera. And, that's something that is harder to police, but there should be perhaps a manager on the property of the unit this size.
Any other comments from the board? With that, before I open it up, that is an interesting point, Dave. I think in the past we would look at one enterprise or one business or one organization and with employee housing and ask for a manager. I think with individual businesses is a little different because we're not guaranteeing that all the employees are going to be housed in that upstairs or above the businesses that are on the lower levels. So it might be a little bit harder to have unless it's the owner. I don't know if it's feasible to hire an additional person to be the manager there just to oversee that. I think because of the multiple buildings and businesses, it's a little bit more difficult. But that's just my thought on it, trying to be a little bit reasonable when they to hire a full-time person or at least pay them for that. But David, your hand's up, so since you brought it up, I'll let you comment.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily need for them to hire a manager, but there should be somebody responsible. It could be the owner, although I don't think this particular owner wants to have that phone number. It's somebody has to be responsible for this. And, it doesn't have to be somebody that lives there. Somebody's got to police these activities. So that person perhaps should be on call.
It's a good thought. Maybe there's a resident manager from one of the
It doesn't have to live there at all, just somebody to call.
Cam, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I liked David's idea there, and I was wondering if it would be part of I think I heard someone say earlier to review in a year and see if there were any complaints or if there have been issues with tenants, et cetera, that might require closer oversight, maybe. So maybe have that 1 year review in for someone like a manager might be required or something, if there's some kind of background. Right now, we're really not running on anything. I don't think there's any current complaints from any of the tenants that are there now. So that's my thought. Anyway.
Thank you. And you can put your hand down now, Cam.
I'm on it.
Okay. John, yes. John Brescher.
I think these are great ideas. My one suggestion about tying it to the reviewing in a year. My one suggestion might be reviewing it within a year of the issuance of the certificate of occupancy. Knowing how long it takes things to be constructed, I don't necessarily know if the apartments will be finished within a year of any issuance of a special permit. If the board's so inclined, so maybe. Or you could even, but it might be worth tying to the certificate of occupancy. That's all.
Okay, good point.
Yeah, we can make the language work, Meg, for as time needed, or some way to say what John just said. I think that makes sense.
All right. Any other comments from the board before I open it up to the public? Seeing none. All right. Anybody from the public care to comment? And Meg, I'll look for your assistance.
I'm not seeing anyone with their hand raised.
Okay. Is there a motion from the board? Motion to close.
We don't have you. We don't have you tonight, John. I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion's been made to close by Nat. Is there a second?
Second,
Fritz, second. Roll call. Fritz.
yes.
Oh, Nat.
Aye.
Dave Iverson.
Aye.
David Callahan.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Okay, on the merits. Is there a motion?
Before we do that, I just, where are we on the suggestion of a management plan? Or is that, and
I think John's, excuse me for interrupting, sorry, Fritz.
Yeah.
John Brescher, I think, had a comment, maybe put an annual review on the certificate of occupancy, because we don't know how long the construction and things are going to take. So from the issuance of the certificate, then have that annual review. If that's correct, John Brescher, maybe you can help.
I think that was my suggestion.
Okay.
Tied to that as opposed to the issuance of the special permit.
With that, Fritz,
see how things are going.
With that, Fritz, I'll leave it to you to add that into your motion if you'd like to.
so just so I understand that. So a year from the issuance of the certificate of occupancy, we would review it, and then we could at that point pursue whether the buildings need some sort of a management plan. Is that the idea?
I'm seeing Meg shake her head yes. So Meg, do you want to comment on that or?
No, I'm just jotting down notes, and that's what I heard, just because I'm trying to formulate how to condition this decision. And that's how I heard it. So if that is incorrect, please.
Yeah.
I mean, I support the idea of some sort of a plan. I mean, for other places, we've required it. This is fairly significant apartment complex. I think there are bound to be issues, and I just think it would be best if the owner could do whatever he can to make sure that there are, the tenant has a problem, or if we have a problem, we know where to go or whatever. So I think a management plan would be good. That's something that could be done at a later date, but I don't want to let it go and just have nothing.
Okay, before you make a motion, Fritz, I see a hand for discussion, so I'd like to put your motion off on David Callahan.
I didn't think the year for review from the CO was tied to the management plan. I thought they were two different
I
items.
believe they are. Yeah.
Okay, so I'd like to see the management plan to start with and not have to wait, because I think the problems might come in the first year. So if Fritz doesn't mind adding the management plan to them when they get their CO, they should have a management plan. I think that would be a good idea.
Meaning, Dave, can I just interrupt?
Yes.
Through you, John. I think I was kind of thinking something along those lines a little bit. Is the property, not just the buildings, like the whole way the place functions. That's how I'm reading what you're saying, David, because these buildings are being added to an existing set of conditions that we can't predict how this is all going to work. So you have the management plan of, you know, the functionality of it, like that, and more than just the two new buildings. You know, how this is all going to work. We're waiving these, you know, handful of parking spaces, which I don't have an issue at all, but like how it all fits, how it all functions, giving it a chance to work, but at the same time having some tools in the toolbox that makes sense for this. Is that basically what you're saying, David?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Well said.
I mean, it's hard for Meg to figure this out because, you know, we're speaking all these different languages here right now with this. I'm sorry, Meg, but I think you have two different things. You have the management plan of the two buildings, but sort of a management plan or operational plan, I guess, of the property. How those two buildings function within the existing conditions, which are not always staying the same. So I think we can work this out as this project continues. It's going to take more than a year. So like John said, so I think that makes sense. Just so that you have that on paper, Megan, as to what we're talking about. Okay. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Are we, John Brescher, can we look at this from two different ways? Instead of just these buildings with a management plan, is there a general overall management plan that we can put in with a particular contact if there's an issue that would represent all of the buildings instead of just the ones that we're discussing?
Yeah.
The short answer is I think we can. And the reason for that is that although it is a sort of special permit modification, it's still under the whole umbrella of the MCD. Mm-hmm. So what we're, you know, I think we're under the entire purview of the whole property. So asking for a management plan, I think it's within your discretion to have it both for the three buildings in front of you, but also for the entire subdivision.
That's what I'm.
We want to make sure all of this, the parking, the uses, it all fits organically, and that if and when there are problems, that we have at least a set of instructions on how to solve them or who to contact.
And that was my point I was trying to make. Instead of just limiting it to just the buildings that we're talking about, if we make it to the overall property, any future subdivision or not subdivision condos or something like that, every individual owner would have to adhere to the original management plan that we imposed right now. So we are still talking about two different things, the annual review on a certain time period, but the a management plan put into place. And I can remind you all that we've approved past management plans in areas like Mayflower Lane for the yacht club, also Westmore Club. We've had management plans, specifically a contact that was available to be reached in the event of a complaint. So I don't know if that helps, Meg.
No, Mr. Chair, through you, if it's all right, can I just run down my list of notes to make sure I have this ready for when someone's ready for a motion?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, so I have, and of course, these specific language might be tweaked a little bit, but just the general concept of if the property is ever separated out of common ownership, this shall trigger the creation of the HOA to be approved and endorsed by the planning board. that a management plan shall be accepted by the planning board. And I jotted down my own note, perhaps prior to the issuance of any construction permits, that there shall be a 1-year review after the issuance of a CO on any of these apartment buildings. And then the build out of the bike path to be coordinated with Ed Pesci and Leo at the applicant's expense.
Sounds pretty good to me. John
Yeah.
Brescher, do you have any issue with what Meg had taken for notes?
No, I think that pretty much sums up all of what we've been discussing here, and I think that's fine. And I mean, my client isn't going anywhere, so I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be fine finding somebody for the management plan.
Okay, any other board
With
members?
that,
Comments? Yes, Fritz.
I'd make a motion if we're ready.
Sure.
So I'd make a motion that we approve the modification to the existing MCD to construct 3 apartment buildings. I think with a waiver of 3 of the parking spaces, so that 84 parking spaces would be required, and that the approval would be subject to the conditions outlined by Megan just a moment ago.
And I'd also like to add, more specifically, the build out of the bike path from Macy's to Wampanoag. So we have a start and a finish per Ed Pesci, our engineer.
I
Okay,
agree. Yep, I'll
if
include
that's
that.
okay for the motion, Meg, if that hits all the points. John, is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made by Fritz and seconded by Nat. Roll call, Fritz,
Aye.
Nat,
Aye.
Dave Iverson,
Aye.
David Callahan.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Thank you very much. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on. Meg, am I wrong, but are we on public comment? Did I miss something? Continued, fair.
Yeah, we continue there. So yes, we are on general public comment.
Okay. Is there general public comment? No? All right, well, I'll look at other business. First, there's a special meeting discussion, the warrant articles Monday, November 29th, 2021 at 4:00 p.m. via Zoom. The next regular planning board meeting is Monday, December 13th, 2021, 4:00 p.m. via Zoom. And then finally, Anne Duez, she has a citizen proposal presentation for a proposed article in reference to spas and pools. Is Anne here?
Yep.
Meg?
I am, Mr. Chair.
Hello, welcome, Anne. Thank you for being patient. I see you're at the tail end of the meeting, but welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I
So I
appreciate
just want to let everyone know this is it's a proposal and it's a presentation. It's really not meant to be a discussion. We're not going to open up to the general public for a hearing, but please feel free to take your time and go ahead whenever you're ready.
I'm ready. I thought maybe a tiny bit of background might be helpful. I live on Mill Street and have been the sort of appointed leader of a neighborhood group ever since we came together in 2016 to raise $500,000 and partner with the land bank to purchase 5 lots that the Mueller family was offering around the pony field and across the street from the pony field in the Garden by the Sea in order to put these lots into permanent conservation. We had a great neighborhood response. It all worked really well. And now when you drive down Mill Street, you see the expanded area that is in conservation, open to the public, and enjoyed by many, many different people. Fast forward to 2020, and the rest of the Mueller property had been subdivided into 9 lots and was being marketed. And the first application came before the HDC in October of last year, and it included a water feature, which got my attention and a number of my neighbors' attention. So we got together again, came together as a neighborhood group again, and started to monitor what was going on up there and to formulate a strategy to try to not have these water features in our quite, I think, unique neighborhood of modest Quaker houses, a lot of openness, a rural feel. We had several problems, which everybody has with these things. The obvious problems of noise, light, and environmental pollution, but also the structures and vegetation necessary to hide these features, because that's what's required. You can't see them. And this is really quite antithetical to our neighborhood, which, as I said, and I'm sure you all know because it's a neighborhood, Mill Street, pretty much everybody drives on Mill Street sooner or later, antithetical to this wonderful open feel and sort of rural feel that we have here. So for the last year, I have found myself with a virtually permanent full-time job monitoring these developments and working with my neighborhood group of 47 families to mount reasonable, carefully reasoned, and articulate objections to various things, but most specifically the pools or spas, as they're being called, that were being proposed. So that basically enabled me to learn a lot about what has been going on in Old Historic District, which is a district we all thought was impervious to these features because of the prohibition against pools. And so now I know more about town bylaw definitions than I thought I would ever know, and more about how some of these processes work. And it became very obvious to me that despite the prohibition against pools, there were loopholes in the definitions that sit on the bylaws that were enabling people to put in things that were virtually pools. And certainly people treated them like pools, and all the nuisance factors were there. Mostly we fought this at the HDC, but this is tough for the HDC because their purview is what's visible from the public way. And of course, these things are all supposedly not visible from the public way. But it's been hard for the HDC. They've had to spend a lot of time talking about it. And it was clear that on a case-by-case basis, this wasn't going to work. It simply wasn't going to work. And so I thought to myself, what can we do on a more global and holistic basis? And I did the research about what various articles have come up in the past since 2011 about pools, about spas, about restrictions in various zones, et cetera, et cetera. And after talking to a lot of people and doing my research, it became relatively clear to me that we had to try to do two things. And therefore I have submitted this afternoon 2 articles. The first thing is to suggest that we completely close down these loopholes by banning hot tubs and spas from the historic districts, both the ROH and the SOH. Many people are in favor of that. We'll see. So there's one article that says, let's ban them. If that article does not pass, the second article attempts to do 2 things. It attempts to reconcile an inconsistency between the definition of pool and the definition of hot tub, spa, because this inconsistency has been exploited to create pools called spas in the Old Historic District that go beyond the rules that are implied by the pool definition. Make a long story short, pools are greater than 150 square feet or more than 1,000 gallons. So therefore, these so-called spas should be less than 150 square feet and less than 1,000 gallons. But a new definition came up in 2017 for hot tub spa, and the gallonage limitation was missing. The purpose of that definition, interestingly, I watched the YouTube video of the 2017 special town meeting where Article 18, which included, I think, 9 definitions and was labeled as a technical modifications / definitions. This new definition of spa, hot tub spa was included. And according to Sarah Alger, that night at the meeting, who was asked a question about it by one of the citizens, the purpose of creating the definition was to enable these structures to be included in the list of exclusions from ground cover calculations. So, pretty mundane, pretty pedestrian, and more or less understandable, because people who were building water features less than 150 square feet were not protected explicitly from being included in ground cover calculations. So that was the purpose of creating the definition. These features were structures were never put into the use chart. But since the special town meeting, it's been deemed that it's a justification to put in pools in the ROH that have more than 1,000 gallons. We have a legal opinion that says that's an incorrect interpretation, but we'll see how that pans out at an appeal of one of these things next week. But I felt it was really important to people who were thinking about doing things, to the HDC that was suffering from having all these fights play out on their turf when they can't really do much about it. So the second article does 2 things. It reconciles the 2 definitions by adding the gallonage limitation of 1,000 gallons to the hot tub spa definition. And it also suggests to shrink, or includes a shrinkage of the size from 150 square feet to 64 square feet. And the reason for that is based on the research I've done on commercial hot tub and spa sites. 8x8 is sort of like the really popular size for just a normal hot tub, somebody would get in to soak, therapeutic reasons or whatever. And that if people did not want to ban it, then if we could better define what they could have, so that it wasn't a pool that people rallied around and had parties around and had special lighting for, and this, that, and the other, that would create a set of rules that people could live with, and that would, as Ray Pohl likes to say, get this pool monkey off his back. So I think that's sort of it. And I'd be very happy to answer any questions. I appreciate your time and listening to me. I know that you'll be reviewing this, I think, in January and giving your own comments, et cetera, et cetera. I did the best I could in terms of language and talking with lawyers. I hope I didn't make a mistake. That would be a drag. But at any rate, I'm happy to take your questions, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Ann. I know a lot of work has gone into that by you. So appreciate all your hard efforts. I'm happy to open it up to the board, but as Ann said, and I agree, we'll be discussing this in more detail in January. So unless there's something from the board that has something that really you would like to get answered before we review this. Hearing none. Okay. Ann, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming and also being patient and anchoring our meeting. So thank you.
Thank you. And again, thank you for your time. And I look forward to the process in January.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay. I think that is it. Is there anything else from the board? I'd just like to wish Judith the best in her recovery. It's not the same without her, and I don't pretend to fill her shoes. I hope she gets a speedy recovery and gets back to us. That being said, is there anything else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make that motion. Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Motion's been made to adjourn by Fritz and seconded by Dave Iverson. Roll call. Fritz,
Aye.
Dave,
aye.
Nat,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Thank you very much. Looks like I'll have an early dinner this evening. So thank you, Meg, and thank you,
Thank you.
everyone for attending. Have a good night.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you.